Good evening, my lovelies. Welcome back to Stories, Fables, Ghostly Tales. I am your ever-watchful host, the Tale Teller, and tonight, I bring you a story that gnaws at the edge of sanity itself. Have you ever woken in the night with the unshakable feeling that someone is in the room with you? That unseen weight on your chest, that faint brush of breath not your own? Well, Guy de Maupassant certainly did, and he wrote it down in a tale so unsettling that even Lovecraft tipped his horrified little hat to it. This story is called The Horla, a classic, a creeping descent into madness, or perhaps worse, into possession. It is told as a series of diary entries, and in it, our narrator finds himself stalked by an invisible parasite, a phantom guest in his home, his mind, his very soul. So grab a candle, dim the lights, and keep the windows shut tight, for once you hear the Horla, you may not be certain you're ever truly alone again. And now, let us begin. The Horla by Guy de Maupassant. May 8th. What a glorious day. I've spent the whole morning lying on the grass in front of my house, under the enormous plane tree that forms a complete covering, shelter, and shade for it. I love this country, and I love living here, because it is here I have my roots. Those deep down, slender roots that hold a man to the place where his forefathers were born and died, hold him to ways of thought and habits of eating, to customs as to particular foods, to local fashions of speech, to the intonations of country voices, to the scent of the soil, the villages, and the very air itself. I love this house of mine where I grew up. From my windows, I see the Seine flowing alongside my garden. Beyond the high road, almost at my door, the great wide Seine, running from Rouen to Javier, covered with passing boats. Away to the left, Rouen, the widespread town, with its blue roofs lying under the bristling host of Gothic belfries. They are beyond number, frail or sturdy, dominated by the leaden steeples of the cathedral, and filled with bells that ring out in the limpid air of fine mornings, sending me the sweet and far-off murmur of their iron tongues, a brazen song borne to me on the breeze, now louder, now softer, as it swells or dies away. How beautiful this morning has been! Towards 11 o'clock, a long convoy of boats followed each other past my gate, behind a squat tug looking like a fly and wheezing painfully as it vomited thick clouds of smoke. After two English yachts whose crimson awnings rose and fell against the sky, came a splendid three-masted Brazilian, all white, gloriously clean and glittering. The sight of this ship filled me with such joy that I saluted her. I don't know why. May 11th. I have had a slight fever for the last few days. I feel ill, or rather unhappy. Whence come these mysterious influences that change our happiness to dejection and our self-confidence to discouragement? It is as if the air, the unseen air, were full of unknowable powers, whose mysterious nearness we endure. I awake full of joy, my throat swelling with a longing to sing, "Why?" I go down to the waterside, and suddenly, after a short walk, I come back home wretched, as if some misfortune were waiting me there. Why? Has a chill shudder passing lightly over my skin shaken my nerves and darkened my spirit? Have the shapes of the clouds or the color of the day, the ever-changing color of the visible world, troubled my mind as they slipped past my eyes? Does anyone know? Everything that surrounds us, everything that we see unseeing, everything that we brush past unknowing, everything that we touch impalpably Everything that we meet unnoticing has on us, on the organs of our bodies, and through them on our thoughts, on our very hearts, swift, surprising, and inexplicable effects. How deep it is, this mystery of the invisible. We cannot fathom it with our miserable senses, with our eyes that perceive neither the too small, nor the too great, nor the too near, nor the too distant, nor the inhabitant of a star, nor the inhabitants of a drop of water, with our ears that deceive us, transmitting the vibrations of the air to us as sonorous sounds. They are fairies who, by a miracle, transmute movement into sound, from which metamorphosis music is born, and make audible in song the mute quivering of nature. With our smell, feebler than a dog's, with our taste that can only just detect the age of a wine. If only we had other organs to work our miracles on our behalf, what things we could discover around us. May 16th. I am certainly ill. I have been so well since last month. I have a fever, a rotten fever, or rather a feverish weakness that oppresses my mind, as wearily as my body. All day and every day I suffer this frightful sense of threatened danger, this apprehension of coming ill or approaching death, this presentiment which is doubtless the warning signals of a lurking disease germinating in my blood and my flesh. May 18. I have just consulted my doctor, for I was not getting any sleep. He found that my pulse is rapid, my eyes dilated, my nerves on edge, but no alarming symptom of any kind. I am to take douches and drink bromide of potassium. May 25. No change. My case is truly strange. As night falls, an incomprehensible uneasiness fills me, as if the night concealed a frightful menace directed at me. I dine in haste. Then I try to read, but I don't understand the words. I can hardly make out the letters. So I walk backward and forward in my drawing room, oppressed by a vague fear that I cannot throw off, fear of sleeping and fear of my bed. About 10 o'clock, I got up to my room. The instant I am inside the room, I double lock the door and shut the windows. I am afraid. Of what? I never dreaded anything before. I open my cupboards, I look under my bed, I listen. Listen? To what? It's a queer thing that a mere physical ailment, some disorder in the blood perhaps, the jangling of a nerve thread, a slight congestion, the least disturbance in the functioning of this living machine of ours, so imperfect and so frail, can make a melancholic of the happiest of men, and a coward of the bravest. Then I lie down and wait for sleep as if I were waiting to be executed. I wait for it, dreading its approach. My heart beats, my leg trembles, my whole body shivers in the warmth of the bedclothes. Until the moment I fall suddenly on sleep, like a man falling into deep and stagnant waters, there to drown. Nowadays, I never feel the approach of this perfidious sleep that lurks near me, spying on me, ready to take me by the hand, shut my eyes, and steal my strength. I sleep for a long time, 2 or 3 hours, then a dream, no, a nightmare seizes me. I feel that I am lying down and that I am asleep. I feel it, and I know it. And I feel, too, that someone approaches me, looks at me, touches me, climbs on my bed, kneels on my chest, takes my neck between his hands and squeezes with all his might, strangling me. I struggle madly in the grip of the frightful impotence that paralyzes us in dreams. I try to cry out. I can't. I try to move. I can't. Panting with the most frightful efforts, I try to turn around, to fling off this creature who was crushing and choking me. I can't do it. And suddenly I wake up, terrified, covered with sweat. I light a candle. I am alone. The crisis is over, a crisis that happens every night. I fall at last into a quiet sleep until daybreak. June the 2nd. My case has grown worse. What can be the matter with me? Bromide is useless. Douches are useless. Lately, by way of wearing a body already quite exhausted, I went for a tramp in the forest of Roma. At first I thought that the fresh air, the clear, sweet air full of scents of grass and trees, was pouring a new blood into my veins and a new strength into my heart. I followed a broad glade, then I turned towards Beauville. By a narrow walk between two ranks of immensely tall trees that flung a thick green roof, almost a black roof, between the sky and me. A sudden shudder ran through me, not a shudder of cold, but a strange shudder of anguish. I quickened my pace, uneasy at being alone in this wood, unreasonably, stupidly, terrified by the profound solitude. Abruptly I felt that I was being followed, that someone was on my heels, as near, touching me. I swung around. I was alone. I saw behind me only the straight open walk, empty, high, terrifyingly empty. It stretched out in front of me too, as far as the eye could see, as empty and frightening. I shut my eyes. Why? And I began to turn round on my heel at a great rate, like a top. I almost fell. I opened my eyes again. The trees were dancing. The earth was swaying. I was forced to sit down. Then, I didn't know which way I'd been walking. Strange thought. I didn't know anything at all now. I took the right-hand way and found myself back in the avenue that had led me into the middle of the forest. June 3rd. The night has been terrible. I am going to go away for several weeks. A short journey will surely put me right. July the 2nd. Home again. I am cured. I have had, moreover, a delightful holiday. I visited Mount St. Michael, which I didn't know. What a vision one gets arriving at Avranches as I did towards dusk. The town lies on a slope, and I was taken into the public garden at the end of the city. A cry of astonishment broke from me. A shoreless bay stretched before me as far as I could see. It lay between opposing coasts that vanished in distant mists, and in the midst of this vast tawny bay, under a gleaming golden sky, a strange hill, somber and peaked, thrust up from the sand at its feet. The sun had just sunk, and on a horizon still riotous with color was etched the outline of this fantastic rock that bore on its summit a fantastic monument. At daybreak I went out to it. The tide was low, as on the evening before, and as I drew near it, the miraculous abbey grew in height before my eyes. After several hours walking, I reached the monstrous pile of stones that supported the little city dominated by the great church. I clambered up the steep, narrow street. I entered the most wonderful Gothic dwelling made for God on this earth, as vast as a town, with innumerable low rooms hollowed out under the vaults and high galleries slung over slender columns. I entered this gigantic granite jewel, as delicate as a piece of lace, pierced everywhere by towers and airy belfries, where twisting stairways climb. Towers and belfries that by day against a blue sky and by night against a dark sky lift strange heads, bristling with chimeras, devils, fantastic beasts, and monstrous flowers, and are linked together by slender, carved arches. When I stood on the top, I said to the monk who accompanied me. What a glorious place you have here, Father.
We've got strong winds,
he answered, and fell into talk as we watched the incoming sea run over the sand and cover it with a steel cuirass. The monk told me stories, all the old stories of this place. Legends, always legends. One of them particularly impressed me. The people of the district, those who lived on the mount, declared that at night they heard voices on the sand, followed by the bleating of two she-goats, one that called loudly and one that called softly. Unbelievers insisted that it was the crying of seabirds, which at one and the same time resembled bleatings and the wailing of human voices. But benighted fishermen swore that they had met an old shepherd wandering on the dunes between two tides, round the little town flung so far out of the world. No one ever saw the head hidden in his cloak. He led walking in front of them, a goat with the face of a man and a she-goat with the face of a woman. Both of them had long white hair and talked incessantly, disputing in an unknown tongue. Then abruptly ceased crying to begin a loud bleating. Do you believe it? I asked the monk. He murmured,
I don't know.
If, I went on, there existed on the earth beings other than ourselves, why have we no long ago learned to know them? Why have you yourself not seen them? Why have I not seen them myself? He answered,
Do we see the 100,000th part of all that exists? Think, there's the wind, the greatest force in nature, which throws down men, shatters buildings, uproots trees, stirs up the sea into watery mountains, destroys cliffs and tosses the tall ships against the shore. The wind that kills, whistles, groans, roars. Have you seen it? Can you see it? Nevertheless, it exists.
Before his simple reasoning, I fell silent. This man was either a seer or a fool. I should not have cared to say which, but I held my peace. What he had just said, I had often thought. July 3rd. I slept badly. I am sure there is a feverish influence at work here, for my coachman suffers from the same trouble as myself. When I came home yesterday, I noticed his strange pallor. What's the matter with you, Jean? I demanded.
I can't rest these days, sir. I'm burning the candle at both ends. Since you went away, sir, I haven't been able to throw it off.
The other servants are all right, however, but I am terrified of getting caught by it again. July 4th. It has surely caught me again. My old nightmares have come back. Last night I felt crouching on me someone who presses his mouth on mine and drinks my life between my lips. Yes, he sucked it from my throat like a leech. Then he rose from me replete, and I awoke so mangled, bruised, enfeebled that I could not move. If this goes on for many days more, I shall certainly go away again. July 5th. Have I lost my reason? What has just happened? What I saw last night is so strange that my head reels when I think of it. Following my invariable custom in the evenings, I had locked my door. Then, feeling thirsty, I drank half a glass of water, and I happened to notice that my carafe was filled up right to its crystal stopper. I lay down after this and fell into one of my dreadful slumbers, from which I was jerked about 2 hours later by a shock more frightful than any of the others. Imagine a sleeping man who has been assassinated and who wakes with a knife through his lung, with the death rattle in his throat, covered with blood, unable to breathe, and on the point of death, understanding nothing. And there you have it. When I finally recovered my sanity, I was thirsty again. I lit a candle and went towards the table where I had placed my carafe. I lifted it and held it over my glass. Not a drop ran out. It was empty. It was completely empty. At first, I simply didn't understand. Then all at once, a frightful rush of emotion so overwhelmed me that I was forced to sit down, or say rather that I fell into a chair. Then I leaped up again and looked around me. Then I sat down again, lost in surprise and fear, in front of the transparent crystal. I gazed at it with a fixed stare, seeking an answer to the riddle. My hands were trembling. Had someone drunk the water? Who? I? It must have been me. Who could it have been but me? So I was a somnambulist, all unaware I was living the mysterious double life that raises the doubt whether there be not two selves in us, or whether, in moments when the spirit lies unconscious, an alien self, unknowable and unseen, inhabits the captive body that obeys this other self as it obeys us, obeys it more readily than it obeys us. Oh, can anyone understand my frightful agony? Can anyone understand the feelings of a sane-minded, educated, thoroughly rational man, staring in abject terror through the glass of his carafe, where the water has disappeared while he slept? I remained there until daylight, not daring to go back to bed. July 6. I am going mad. My carafe was emptied again last night, or rather I emptied it. But is it I? Is it I? Who can it be? Who? Oh my God. Am I going mad? Who will save me? July 10th. I have just made some astonishing experiments. Listen. On the 6th of July, before lying down in bed, I placed on my table wine, milk, water, bread, and strawberries. Someone drank. I drank all the water and a little of the milk. Neither the wine nor the bread nor the strawberries were touched. On the 7th of July, I made the same experiment and got the same result. On the 8th of July, I left out the water and the milk. Nothing was touched. Finally, on the 9th of July, I placed only the water and the milk on my table, taking care to wrap the carafes in white muslin cloths and to tie down the stopper. Then I rubbed my lips, my beard, and my hands with a charcoal pencil and lay down. The usual overpowering sleep seized me, followed shortly by the frightful awakening. I had not moved. My bedclothes themselves bore no marks. I rushed towards my table. The cloths wrapped around the bottle remained spotless. I untied the cords, shaking with fear. All the water had been drunk. All the milk had been drunk. Oh my God. I am leaving for Paris at once. July 13. Paris. I suppose I lost my head during the last few days. I must have been the sport of my disordered imagination, unless I really am a somnambulist, or have fallen under one of those indubitable but hitherto inexplicable influences that we call suggestions. However that may be, my disorder came very near to lunacy, and 24 hours in Paris has been enough to restore my balance. Yesterday, I went to the races and made various calls. I felt myself endowed with new vital strength, and I ended my evening at the Theatre Française. They were presenting a play by the younger Dumas, and his alert, forceful intelligence completed my cure. There can be no doubt that loneliness is dangerous to active minds. We need round us men who think and talk. When we live alone for long periods, we people the void with phantoms. I returned to the hotel in high spirits, walking along the boulevards. Amid the jostling of the crowd, I thought ironically on my terrors, on my hallucinations of a week ago, when I had believed, yes, believed, that an invisible being dwelt in my body. How weak and shaken and speedily unbalanced our brains are immediately they are confronted by a tiny, incomprehensible fact. Instead of coming to a conclusion in these simple words, I do not understand because the cause eludes me, at once we imagine frightening mysteries and supernatural powers. July 14th. Fête de la République. I walked through the streets. The rockets and the flags filled me with a childish joy. At the same time, it is vastly silly to be joyous on a set day by order of the government. The mob is an imbecile herd, as stupid in its patience as it is savage when roused. You say to it, enjoy yourself, and it enjoys itself. You say to it, go and fight your neighbor. It goes to fight. You say to it, vote for your emperor. It votes for your emperor. Then you say to it, vote for the republic, and it votes for the republic. Its rulers are as besotted, but instead of obeying men, they obey principles, which can only be half-baked, sterile, and false in so much as they are principles. That is to say, ideas reputed certain and immutable in this world where nothing is sure, since light and sound are both illusions. July 16th. Yesterday I saw some things that have profoundly disturbed me. I dined with my cousin, Mi Sablé, whose husband commands the 76th Light Horse at Limoges. At her house I met two young women, one of whom has married a doctor, Dr. Parent, who devotes himself largely to nervous illnesses and the extraordinary discoveries that are the outcome of the recent experiments in hypnotism and suggestion. He told us at length about the amazing results obtained by English scientists and by the doctors of the Nancy School. The facts that he put forward struck me as so fantastic that I confess myself utterly incredulous.
We are,
He declared,
on the point of discovering one of the most important secrets of nature. I mean, one of the most important secrets on this earth. For there are certainly others as important away yonder in the stars. Since man began to think, since he learned to express and record his thoughts, he has felt the almost impalpable touch of a mystery impenetrable by his clumsy and imperfect senses, and he has tried to supplement the impotence of his organic powers by the force of his intelligence. While this intelligence was still in a rudimentary stage, this haunting sense of invisible phenomena clothed itself in terrors such as occur to simple minds. Thus are born popular theories of the supernatural, the legends of wandering spirits, fairies, gnomes, ghosts. I'll add the god myth itself, since our conceptions of the artificer, creator, to whatever religion they belong, are really the most uninspired, the most unintelligent, the most unacceptable products of the fear-clouded brain of human beings. Nothing is truer than that saying of Voltaire's, God has made man in his image, but man has retorted upon him in kind. But for a little over a century, we have had glimpse of a new knowledge. Mesmer and others have set our feet on a fresh path, and, more specifically, during the last 4 or 5 years, we have actually reached surprising results.
My cousin, as incredulous as I, smiled. Dr. Parent said to her,
Shall I try to put you to sleep, madame?
Shall I try to put you to sleep, madam? Yes, do. She seated herself in an armchair, and he looked fixedly into her eyes, as if he were trying to fascinate her. As for me, I felt suddenly uneasy. My heart thumped. My throat contracted. I saw Mère Sable's eyes grow heavy, her mouth twitch, her bosom rise and fall with her quickening breath. Within 10 minutes, she was asleep.
Go behind her,
said the doctor. I seated myself behind her. He put a visiting card in her hand and said to her,
Here is a looking glass. What can you see in it?
I see my cousin.
What is he doing?
He is twisting his moustache.
And now?
He is drawing a photograph from his pocket.
Whose photograph is it?
His.
She was right. And this photograph had been sent to me at my hotel only that very evening.
What is he doing in the photograph?
He is standing with his hat in his hand.
Evidently, she saw in this card this piece of white pasteboard, as she would have seen in a glass. The young woman, terrified, cried.
That's enough. That's quite enough.
But the doctor said authoritatively,
You will get up tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Then you will call on your cousin at his hotel and you will beg him to lend you 5,000 francs that your husband has asked you to get and will exact on his next leave.
Then he woke her up. On my way back to the hotel, I thought about this curious seance, and I was assailed by doubts. Not of the absolutely unimpeachable good faith of my cousin, whom since our childhood I had looked upon as my sister, but of the possibility of trickery on the doctor's part. Had he concealed a looking glass in his hand and held it before the slumbering young woman when he was holding before her his visiting card? Professional conjurers do things as strange. I had reached the hotel by now, and I went to bed. Then in the morning, towards 8:30, I was roused by my man, who said to me,
Me, Sable, wishes to speak to you at once, sir.
I got hurriedly into my clothes and had her shown in. She seated herself, very agitated, her eyes downcast, and, without lifting her veil, said,
I have a great favor to ask you, my dear cousin. I hate to ask it of you, and yet I must. I need desperately 5,000 francs.
You need it?
Yes, or rather my husband, who has laid it on me to get it.
I was so astounded that I stammered as I answered her. I wondered whether she and Dr. Parent were not actually making fun of me. Whether it weren't a little comedy they had prepared beforehand and were acting very well. But as I watched her closely, my doubts vanished entirely. The whole affair was so distasteful to her that she was shaking with anguish, and I saw that her throat was quivering with sobs. I knew that she was very rich, and I added, What? Do you mean to say that your husband can't call on 5,000 francs? Come, think. Are you sure he told you to ask me for it? She hesitated for a few moments, as if she were making a tremendous effort to search her memory. Then she answered,
Yes, I'm quite sure.
Has he written to you? She hesitated again, reflecting. I guessed at the tortured striving of her mind. She didn't know. She knew nothing except that she had to borrow 5,000 francs from me for her husband. Then she plucked up courage to lie.
Yes, he has written to me.
But when? You didn't speak to me about it yesterday.
I got his letter this morning.
Can you let me see it?
No, it is very intimate, too personal. I've burned it.
Your husband must be in debt, then. Again, she hesitated, then answered,
I don't know.
I told her abruptly. The fact is, I can't lay my hands on 5,000 francs at the moment, my dear. A kind of agonized wail broke from her.
Oh, I implore you, get it for me.
She grew dreadfully excited, clasping her hands as if she were praying to me. The tone of her voice changed as I listened. She wept, stammered, torn with grief, goaded by the irresistible command that had been laid on her.
Oh, I implore you to get it. If you knew how unhappy I am, I must have it today.
I took pity on her. You shall have it at once, I promise you.
Thank you.
She cried.
How kind you are.
Do you remember what happened at your house yesterday evening?
Yes?
Do you remember that Dr. Parent put you to sleep?
Yes.
Very well. He ordered you to come this morning and borrow 5,000 francs from me, and you are now obeying the suggestion. She continued this for a moment and answered.
Because my husband wants it.
I spent an hour trying to convince her, but I did not succeed in doing so. When she left, I ran to the doctor's house. He was just going out, and he listened to me with a smile. Then he said,
Now, do you believe?
I must.
Then let's go get your cousin.
She was already asleep on a daybed, overwhelmed with weariness. The doctor felt her pulse and looked at her for some time. One hand lifted towards her eyes, but slowly closed under the irresistible compulsion of his magnetic force. When she was asleep.
Your husband has no further need for 5,000 francs. You will forget that you begged your cousin to lend it to you, and if he speaks to you about it, you will not understand.
Then he woke her up. I drew a note case from my pocket. Here is what you asked me for this morning, my dear. She was so dumbfounded that I dared not press the matter. I did, however, try to rouse her memory, but she denied it fiercely, thought I was making fun of her, and at last was ready to be angry with me. Back at the hotel, the experience has disturbed me so profoundly that I could not bring myself to take lunch. July 19th. I've told several people about this adventure and been laughed at for my pains. I don't know what to think now. The wise man says, perhaps. July 21st. I dined at Bougival. Then I spent the evening at the rowing club dance. There's no doubt that everything is a question of places and persons. To believe in the supernatural in the island of Greenawaliri would be at the height of folly. I am going home next week. July 30th. I have been home since yesterday. All is well. August 2nd. Nothing fresh. The weather has been glorious. I spend my days watching the Seine run past. August 4th. The servants are quarreling amongst themselves. They declare that someone breaks the glasses in the cupboards at nights. My man blames the cook, who blames the housemaid, who blames the other two. Who is the culprit? It would take a mighty clever man to find out. August 6th. This time, I am not mad. I've seen something. I've seen something. Oh yes, I've seen something. I have no more doubts. I've seen it. I'm still cold to my fingertips. My nerves are still racked with terror. I've seen it. At 2 o'clock in broad daylight, I was walking in my rose garden between the autumn roses that are just coming out. As I paused to look at the Giant des Pastalis, which bore 3 superb flowers, I distinctly saw right under my eye the stem of one of these roses bend as if an invisible hand had twisted it, then break as if the hand had plucked it. Then the flower rose, describing in the air the curve that an arm would have made, carrying it towards a mouth, and it hung suspended in the air, quite alone, motionless, a terrifying scarlet splash 3 paces from my eyes. I lost my head and flung myself on it, grasping at it. My fingers closed on nothing. It had disappeared. Then I was filled with a savage rage inside myself. A rational, serious-minded man simply does not have such hallucinations. But was it really a hallucination? I turned around to look for the flower, and my eyes fell on it immediately. It had just broken off and was lying between 2 roses that still remained on the branch. Then I went back to the house, my senses reeling. Now I was sure as I am that day follows night, that there lived at my side an invisible being who fed on my milk and water, who could touch things, take them, move them from one place to another, endowed therefore with a material nature, imperceptible to our senses though it was, and living beside me under my roof. August 7th. I slept quietly. He has drunk the water from my carafe, but he did not disturb my sleep. And we will stop at August the 7th on the story The Horla. I will continue part 2 next week. And there we have it, my friends. Guy de Maupassant, The Horla. Part 1, that is, a story that leaves us peering into the dark corners of our rooms, wondering if the air we breathe is truly ours, or if something else is sipping quietly at our very souls. But now, before you drift off into uneasy dreams, it's time to thank the pillars who guard this little corner of horror. First, my old night tea titan, Matto Star. Mate, if the Horla ever dare step foot into our world, you'd be the one to spot its creeping presence long before the rest of us. With your patience, your sharp perception, and your kind heart, you'd map its movements, track its whispers, and shine a light where others only feel shadows. While others crumble under the weight of unseen dread, you'd be there, steady and unshaken, the quiet sentinel, keeping watch through the long, haunted night. You are not just support, you're the fortress against the unknown, and I cannot thank you enough. So thank you so much, Metro Star, for your awesome friendship and your jaw-droppingly brilliant support. Have a kick-ass week, and I will be responding to your wonderful email shortly. Thank you so much, legend. Now to my white tea warlords, Lesosaurus Rex. With your strength, you would wrestle the invisible fiend itself. I know it's ethereal, but somehow you will manage, pinning it down even as others flail in the dark. When the unseen grips our throats, you'd tear it free, proving that even phantoms should fear your muscle. Have a kick-ass week ahead of yourself, Lesa. A brilliant gym session. And thank you so much for your friendship and support. Thanks so much. And Maya, the queen of cats, my next white tea warlord, your feline court would hiss and claw at the lurking shadows, their eyes blazing in places our human sight fails. With your crown of cats, no spectre could creep unnoticed. You'd turn the Horla's stealth into a spotlight. Thank you so much for your friendship and your support. Have a brilliant, epic week ahead, legend. And thank you again. And my final white tea warlord, Sangeetha the Seer, you would sense the Horla's shadow long before its icy touch brushed against our world. With your uncanny foresight, you'd guide us clear of its grasp. Your warnings, the thread that keeps us tethered to safety. Thank you, Sangeetha, for your friendship and brilliant support. And have a epic week ahead, you legend. Thank you again. And to my Earl Grain forces and all tiers thereafter, of which I am lucky to have Chad Warren, Divided by Zero, Juicebox Andy, Just Heather, Peter Raffaelli, Seductive Smiled, Jane Gumnick, and Michael Krupp. Thank you, you legends, for supporting me in the way you do. To all of you, my guardians, my fellow torchbearers, I thank you. And to everyone listening tonight, thank you for lending your ears and your courage to this first part of the tale. If you enjoyed it, share it, review it, or join us on Patreon to keep the horrors alive. All Patrons get an episode a week earlier and higher quality audio. But until next time, this is the Tale Teller, wishing you a quiet night, free of shadows and free of watchers. Till next we meet.
I feel the air shift. I feel it breathing in my lungs. Pages turn. night. Thank you, supporters. You lift us so high. Motto Star, Lysosaurus, Maya, Sangeetha. We sing your names. You shine like the sky. How great we will meet again with love and music until the end.